Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about detachment and specifically detachment in your content, in your business, in your numbers, your money, and like basically everything that you could possibly think of in terms of business. And we're also going to talk about it in terms of like relationships too, because business oftentimes incorporates relationships. And so I think it's important to cover that aspect of business as well. So to get started, um, I definitely want to encourage you to go check out my YouTube channel this Wednesday. I've done this thing where more or less like I am going to be releasing like each week there's going to be a topic, like a theme, right? And so this week's theme is detachment. And so like everything is going to more or less play into that theme of the week. And that video is gonna be coming out Wednesday of this week. This is April 8th, 2024 at the time of recording. So the video will be out on the 10th of 2024. So if you're listening to this on the Tuesday, the 9th, in between when I'm recording and when the video is posted, just be sure to go check out the YouTube channel on Wednesday because what I'm going to be covering in today's podcast episode is going to be different from what I cover in the YouTube video. So definitely encourage you to go check out that video. Anyways, so I want to talk about detachment in kind of every form of business. And like I said, I want to talk about it in terms of content marketing, money, and your numbers, and also your relationships. And so when I think of detachment and content, it's actually something that I find that I'm still working on myself. Where, back in the past, I had a coach who was very, I guess you could say, bro marketing tactic kind of coach. And she was very, let's just say, forthright about her belief of talking about only one thing. Like you could only talk about one thing that you do in your business. And so for her, it was, let's just say, community. And so she would always talk about how community was such a big pillar for her. And that's why she stands for getting women together and blah, blah, blah. And so she would talk about community very frequently, in addition to the one thing that she was an expert at in business. And that's how she kind of set herself apart with her, I guess you could say, I don't want to use the word authority because I really don't like that word nowadays. But like with her expertise and her credibility in the field that she was coaching in. So, with that being said, when you go to create content, oftentimes, in the beginning, it's gonna suck. And you're gonna be on a little bit of a like, "Oh, this kinda sucked. Oh, I wish, this could have gone better." And, like, don't get me wrong, like, you're not necessarily. I had to go get a paper towel because I'm bleeding right now out of, like, nowhere. Um You're not necessarily like, you haven't practiced content enough times for you to know exactly what to do in content and exactly who to show up as in content. And so that's why the first couple of times it's gonna suck, but if you let go of whatever happens, right? So, like, for example, my YouTube channel, I post a video and I kinda let whatever the YouTube gods will allow to happen, I will allow whatever will be to be, right? So, I put up some videos and I'll get like 4 views, but then there's other videos and I'll get like 400 views. And then I put other videos up and I'll get 17,000 views on YouTube, right? But if I put a video up and I get 30 views in a week, I'm like, "Okay, this is going actually pretty well." So, there's really just when I go to put that content up, there is this sense of like, well, I put it out there, it's gonna do what it's gonna do. It is done. Check. I checked it off my list, right? It's senseless for me to worry about that video after it's posted because if I spend time stressing about how that video is performing, then I'm putting my energy in all of the wrong places. And when it comes to content, what I've learned in the last 8 years of creating content is that it's a continual practice. And every day you're going to show up and every day you're going to get better and every day you're going to become more comfortable and every day you're going to find yourself, your voice, your persona more and more and more. And the only way for you to really know and judge, okay, I should go more in this direction is after a certain span of time has passed. So, for example, I think next week I will have been posting YouTube videos for a whole month. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at my YouTube analytics for the last month, and I'm gonna go over, okay, well, what videos performed well and what didn't perform too well. I'm gonna look at what was driving a lot of views to my page, what the major search tags were to find my page, and how many people subscribed and what caused them, like what video or what piece of content caused them to subscribe. And so that's that's a little bit more of like an analytic, like a review, right? And that's going to give me an idea of, okay, I should create more how to start a YouTube kind of content, or maybe I should create more content like creation style content, or maybe I should create more SEO type content. But I'm not going to do that every single day because if I did that every single day when I post a video, I would drive myself insane. And that's the point of like letting go, where you let the universe kind of do its magic, work its magic, massage things into reality. And then, you come back and you look everything over, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this. This is working. And you keep going in that direction. So, in terms of content, that's what I think the best thing is to do. Now, don't get me wrong, there's going to be pieces of content where you're not going to want to talk about educational topics all the time, and that's okay. You're a human. You probably have kids and you probably like to participate in hobbies and travel the world. Good. Make that part of your content. I want you to make that part of your content because I like people who are people. And like if I were to think about I'm looking at a trash bag box right now, one of those big boxes of trash bags that you get from Costco. If I were to look at a trash bag box, and let's just say that your social media profile is similar to this trash bag box where it's talking about how it's a contractor cleanup bag and it's built tough and it has tie flaps and there's 50 bags and it's one by one dispensing and there's a little flap for you to, push in so that you can pull the bags out easy. I would get bored, I'd walk away. But if I'm going upstairs, let's say to the TV room, then when I turn on the TV can show me a rom-com, or it can show me an action movie, or it could show me, drama, or, like, there's a little bit more of a variety towards what is presented to me from the television, and so I'm gonna probably spend more time there versus just staring at this husky cleanup bag box because it's the same thing and it's boring and it's telling me the same thing on literally 4 different sides 5 different sides of the box, right? Like, obviously, TV holds my attention longer and more efficiently. So, that's what I have to say about content. The next thing that I wanna kinda talk about here is your marketing. The way that I look at marketing recently has very much changed. Marketing is a way, in my understanding, for you to tell people how you can help them and solve their problem in a way that makes you more of a human to them versus a business owner. So that was a little long, but at the core, it's basically like the way you tell people how you can solve their problem. And that's opening up a relationship like, "Hey, I can help you out with this." But, "Oh, hey, I also travel." Like, you wouldn't go up to somebody on the street and you wouldn't say like, "Oh, yeah, um, are you interested in buying my secondhand laptop?" They'd be like, "What? No." They would walk away from you. They'd be like, "I don't want something secondhand." But if you walked up to them and you started having a conversation with them and you were like, "Hey, I saw that you dropped this when you were walking before. Is this important to you?" And they're like, "Yeah," or they're like, "No." And then you strike up a conversation. That's what marketing is. It's striking up a conversation. And I think oftentimes people confuse that with like promotion. And don't get me wrong, promotion is definitely part of it, right? So like if you were let's just say in a bar and you were talking to somebody who was really good looking, then you would want to promote yourself because you would want to go out on a date with that person. You want to get to know that person. You want to be in a relationship with that person. But it's not like you're going right up to that person and you're being like, "You're gorgeous. Let's go out on a date," right? Like, no. You're like, "Hey, I saw that you were drinking whiskey. Are you having Bullet or is that something different? I really like whiskey and I wanna have an old fashioned with something other than Jameson," right? Like, start a conversation. Just be a normal person. Maybe that's a weird way to start a conversation, but you understand what I'm saying. "Oh, did you just try the new IPA from Sam Adams? What'd you think? Was it good? Is it too hoppy?" I don't really like hoppy. Do you like hoppy? You understand what I'm saying, okay? Okay. Now in terms of, like, detachment there, it's like detaching from the fact that you're a business owner for 10 minutes when you're having this conversation, right? Like you're detaching from the fact that this conversation is actually probably going to help you tenfold because you're not forcing something onto this person. You're literally just getting to know them. You're literally being a human with them. And it's not like you have nothing, no like no intention going in. And I've worked with coaches in the past who have literally given me guidance of like, have 5 to 10 conversations in the DMs with people who you don't know every day. And that's how you're going to generate leads for your business. And I'm sorry, but no, that's not good marketing to me. That is desperate to me. That is that's cold calling in the digital age. Okay. And I don't vibe with it, and the reason why is because I know going into this conversation that it's going to lead to a sale, and the thing is that when I know that it's going to lead to me pitching them, it doesn't feel good. I don't want for it to feel contrived or manipulated like that. Conversations should be genuine, should be honest. I wanna get to know this person. I wanna get to know what they like. I wanna know why they think that this is this way and that is that way, right? Like the whole point of marketing is to take yourself and your business out of the equation and genuinely give and say, "Hey, I can help solve your problem. Here's what I can offer you right now in this piece of content. If you're interested in hanging out with me more, come join my email list. Come hang out here. Let's talk over there," right? Like give them options and opportunities. And people who like you and people who want to date you in business, more or less, is basically what I'm trying to say, are going to be like, "Yeah, I'm going to come and join your membership call or join your email list or whatever." You understand what I'm saying? Detach yourself from making a sale because when people know that you're going in to make a sale, that's what makes it sleazy. Okay. Yes, we want people to buy. Of course, we want people to buy, but we want people who want to be in our world to buy. We want them to want to buy. I want you to want me. Okay. You hear me? You hear me? We're not going, I need you to need me because Like, no, I want you to want me, right? The only way for me to create the environment for you to want me is if I share my stories with you, share my values with you, start talking to you, start having conversations, and we go back and forth. And then you're like, "Oh my god, this chick's really fucking cool. I wonder what she's got. Wonder how she can help me out." And then you're like, "Oh damn, that's how that happens." Right? Cool. Now in terms of money, ooh, this one is definitely a nice conversation to have. Honestly, it might be an even more in-depth episode for a different day. But more or less, what I've come to experience recently is that when you're so clung on to making money, what happens? It does not come in. When you let go and you detach and you trust that money is going to be there for you because it will be and it is there for you, it is going to start to come in and you'll start to notice it coming in. So there have been plenty of points. I'm going to be very transparent about this. There are plenty of points between December and March where things get pretty tight for me. And the reason why is because I don't have additional coaching on my um on my docket in terms of what I can generate money for. From December to March, it's really just my full-time position. And in March, then things start to pick back up again as far as coaching. And typically by then, I also have a little bit of a tax refund that I can play around with. And so from December to March, things get really tight for me. And when you hear that phrase, really tight, what happens? You start to like tense up and stress up and you cling. Okay. And we don't want to cling. And guess what happened this year? I let go of clinging. I was like, "No, it's okay. Money's gonna come in because it's always there for me. Money is always there for me." And I got a really big bonus in December. I was like, "Oh, this is so, so helpful right now. You have no idea how helpful it is." And that was because I detached myself from the numbers, from the money. And we could talk about this in multiple ways in terms of like numbers like statistics or analytics, right? But we can I really want to focus on money in terms of the numbers that I talk about with you in this episode because I feel like a lot of times people cling on to make more money. I need to make more money. I need to make more money. And the thing is like, if you're clinging on to that, you're a little stage five clinger onto money. Guess what? Money's gonna be like, peace out, stage five clinger. I don't want to hang out with you. I mean, think about it. If you're going to date somebody and they're a stage five clinger, are you gonna really want to date them? Probably not. You're gonna be like, get them away from me. They're suffocating me, right? Money's gonna think the same thing and money's gonna act the same way. If you're a stage five clinger to money, money's be like, peace out, dude. I don't want to be here. And that's why detaching from it is so important. And I'm not saying to detach completely to be like, I don't need money because that's not true. You do need money to do some things. I'm saying to trust that money is going to be there for you and to avoid stressing over it because cortisol in your blood system is not a good mix for the successful results that you're looking for. You don't want cortisol. You don't kick that cortisol out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Now, even in terms of relationships, and actually, I think of all of the points that I've touched on thus far in this podcast episode, relationships might actually be the one that I have the most experience with. And the thing is, when you detach from someone, then they're gonna naturally want you more. And it makes no sense. Like it seems really counterintuitive, but trust me, it works. So back in my day. So back in 2019, when I first met Tommy, we had gone on a couple of dates. We were talking back in April of 2019, and then we had gone on a couple of dates And then in the summertime, he wound up going on a trip up to Maine, and I was like, "Okay, you know what? Whatever." And believe it or not, he told me this it wasn't that long ago. He was seeing another woman at the time. Like, he was seeing somebody else, and I was like, "Okay, whatever. You're gonna fall for me. No big deal." And that's detachment, okay? Like, that's honest detachment, like, that is having so much confidence, so much faith, and so much trust in myself that I'm like, "Yeah, I know that you're gonna be with me, so I don't need to even worry about it." And what ended up happening? Well, he chose me. And it seems so counterintuitive sometimes, but, like, if I had clung on to him and, like, I could tell right now after having been with him for the last 5 years, actually, it might even be yeah, no, 5. After having been with him for the last 5 years, like, the times that we do best are the times when I'm much more detached than when I'm, like, stressing and anxious. And it's just because then it opens up this reciprocal flow. And maybe this is going into the masculine and feminine energies. If you're, one of the energy people listening into this podcast episode and you have something to say, I want to hear about it. Let me know. Drop me a DM and be like, yeah, I want to talk about this in a podcast episode. Um, but like when you detach, especially as a woman, what I seem to notice is that you kind of are like, I think some people call this like the black cat versus the golden retriever. When you're detached, you're the black cat. Like you hold the power, you hold this mystery, you hold this essence of like, I don't want to say uncertainty, but you're mysterious. And so that gives you the power in the relationship. And it's not like it's a like power where it's like you are controlling your partner. No, no. It's like your partner checks in with you and you work together and you're receiving these ideas from them. And the golden retriever more or less is kind of like the one that dodes, is like the one that's like paying attention to and loving and uh nurturing the relationship, right? Like at least that's my understanding of it. But the biggest thing that I tend to notice is that detachment does play a big role in that. And even if you were to think of in terms of like a business, right? If you're looking to attract in your ideal clients, you want to be detached from the content that you're putting out there, and you want to be detached from like the messages that you're DMing even in conversations with like I'm not saying to be so detached that you don't care. I'm saying that you don't need to be in control of the outcome. And what you're doing is you're allowing the other person to make a decision, and like psychologically they're going to make the decision to join your world because otherwise they wouldn't be asking about it. Like if you think about it, subconsciously, they want to join. They might not have said, "Yeah, I want to join." But if they're asking you questions and they're talking to you about an offer that you have up, they wanna be a part of it, and I don't need to sit there and convince them, because if they're at the point of asking, then I know there will be a point that they're going to say yes, and it might not be right now, it might be in a month, it might be in 2 months, it might be in a year, but what I do know is that on some level, they want to be a part of my world, and it would be pointless for me to, like, run after them and chase after them. Like, let's just think about sales for a second, right? I in my position for the full-time job that I have now, I made over $650,000 in sales last year. And, like, I have my manager, my supervisor, whatever you wanna call him, he's like, "Call this person and see if they need this." And I'm like, "It's senseless for me to call them because they're gonna call when they need it. I'm not gonna go out and be like, 'Hey, do you want this?'" They're gonna be like, "No." And then I'm not gonna be able to make the freaking sale. So, slow your roll. It's gonna come. That's detachment at its finest, especially since they're already a client. Like they're a repeat client. And by the way, client retention is responsible for 90% of your business, just in case nobody told you. Anyways, staying on the topic of detachment here, the more you can exercise your ability to let go, the easier things are going to be. And I'm starting to notice that more and more even now, especially since what has transpired and gone on in the last few weeks in terms of what I've been learning about content and marketing. And really, it's just permission for me to let go and create things the way that I want to create them. And that is going to ultimately bring me the success that I want, anyways. So, I want to thank you for listening and tuning in. And if you have any takeaways, definitely be sure to screenshot this and put your takeaway in your Instagram story. And don't forget to tag me because I want to see it. And that would be really cool. And then I could start a podcast highlight for my Instagram profile. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And I will talk to you soon.